That's 720-204-8100.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
Are you ready for the holidays? Hi, this is Scott Matthew with Matthew's Fine Watches and Jewelry. We have a great selection to choose from and special gifts with purchase. Discover elegant Allison Kaufman diamond bracelets. Select styles 30% off. These pieces are limited. When they're gone, they're gone. Looking to pop the question? Come to Matthew's Fine Watches and Jewelry and let our family be a part of your special day.
Matthews Fine Watches and Jewelry in the Highlands Ranch Town Center and at MatthewsFineWatches.com.
Happy holidays from Done Right Home Improvements. Putting off that home makeover till after the holidays? Well, good, because book your project now for install after and save 16% or get a great financing deal. drhi.com.
Need a new water heater? Euro Plumbing has lifetime warranties, great financing, and low pricing. 720-500-3000. 720-500-3000.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Wednesday night in the Mile High City. He's Dante Gomez. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. A busy day in Broncos country. We got Sean Payton, Bo Nix, Courtland Sutton, Pat Surtain all at the podium. Talking today as the Broncos and Packers looms on Sunday afternoon. We've got an injury report. We've got an offensive lineman, Ben Powers, back at practice today. Oh, so much to do. But Dante, I want to start with this. I just saw this from Parker Gabriel over at the Denver Post. He's reporting this within the last hour, and this is just kind of a fun little wrinkle to kick the show off before we dive further into Broncos-Packers. Parker's reporting that the Colts called Sam Ehlinger's agent Sunday night with an offer to return to Indianapolis. Ehlinger told the Denver Post the sides talked for 2 days before he decided to stick with the Broncos on the practice squad. Fascinating. Phillip Rivers obviously will always be connected to Denver. Played the Broncos a couple dozen times in his career, if not more, all those years with the Chargers. He's now back in Indy, but Sam Ehlinger could have gotten poached by the Colts. Rivers may still be coaching high school football, and instead he decides to stay with the Broncos practice squad. Pretty fascinating because Ehlinger's not seeing the field here in Denver. Clearly the depth chart is Bo Nix 1, Jarrett Stidham 2, and Ehlinger 3. We don't even need to talk about injuries or anything like that because I don't want to put it in the universe. But he's not going to play. Probably could have played in Indy, but my gut reaction is it just kind of goes to show you the Broncos are building something special that Sam Ehlinger wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, and it's funny that he said no because that was one of the first names I thought of after the Phillip Rivers news came out of there's got to be younger guys in the NFL that are on practice squads that, are familiar with the Colts system, and Ehlinger surely fits all of that criteria. So I was surprised that they didn't make a run at him, but I guess they did make a run at him. He just declined. I'm surprised he declined. I feel like the opportunity to be on the game day roster, make a game day check, and play in a game as well. I feel like all of that has to be more enticing than sitting around on the Broncos practice squad. And maybe it's what you said of he thinks that something is special. It's brewing here in Denver. Another aspect of it I could think of would be that he has seen what Sean Payton can do for a quarterback's career.
The old quarterback rehab type.
Exactly.
Deal. Yep.
The rehab, hey, I don't want to wrong these guys, and what if Davis Webb goes on to get a head coaching job in a year or two from now? He's like, hey, that is my guy. He will be my backup quarterback for, the next 5 years, something like that. And a lot of this league is the relationships you make with the coaches, and that's what can allow you to stick around on, rosters. So I think it could be both of those, that he thinks something special is here, or he just truly believes in his development under Sean Payton.
Yeah, and some quotes here from Ehlinger to provide some clarification. Again, Parker Gabriel, the one from the Denver Post with these right now. Not sure if it was a one-on-one or a scrum, but this is where I'm seeing them. And Ehlinger said, "We're really happy here and enjoy the organization, the path we're on, and what we're building. I want to be a part of that. I was in Indianapolis for 4 years, and I love everybody over there. It's just a difficult situation, obviously. So kind of what we were speculating in terms of Ehlinger feeling like, he's loving his time with the Broncos, and you can kind of read between the lines there with difficult situation, obviously. Does he really want to get thrown to the Wolves in a team that's going the totally wrong direction and, quite frankly, is probably going to be out of the playoffs when just a month ago we were talking about that damn leverage penalty, worried about the number 1 seed? The Colts have really fallen off a cliff, and Ehlinger may let Phillip Rivers go get beat up behind that offensive line rather than himself and hurt his own stock. If he goes to Indy and starts 3-4 games and they go 0-3, 0-4, people say this guy's cooked. He can't play anymore, whereas there's still now this element of intrigue now that he's been in Sean Payton's building for a year.
Yeah, whoever's starting for the Colts the rest of the way here is not being necessarily set up for success. And, good on Ehlinger for seeing that and realizing what that can do to his career. So I'm happy he made the best decision for himself, and that's to remain here in Denver. We do have a great drop from him, by the way, from Texas, if you want to, throw that out there.
Old Sam Ehlinger saying crazy stuff. Yeah, I will find it and definitely get into it as well. Just a fun nugget to start on the show because, again, Broncos country knows Phillip Rivers. He played so many games against the Orange and Blue, and it could have been Sam Ehlinger's job. He closed with this quote to Parker Gabriel, quote, "It's wild and more power to him." Speaking of Phillip Rivers, I'm excited to watch. So, yeah, I think we're all excited to watch, but I also think we're all kind of hoping that he plays on Sunday against the Seahawks. I don't know much about Riley Leonard, but I will not be having Colts and Seahawks on my radar if it's Riley Leonard. If it's Phillip Rivers, I understand the Broncos play at the same time. The game's up in Seattle. Certainly going to be locked into the Broncos, but during commercials, during halftime, might have to flip over to a little red zone and see what our old buddy Phil is doing up there in Seattle for the Colts. All right, so today, some big takeaways, and this notion, and it's not even a notion really, it's a fact that the Broncos are underdogs in this game against the Packers. Kind of shocking when you really think about it. I mean, they've won 10 in a row. They're 11-2. It's December. It's a potential Super Bowl preview, and the Broncos are dogs to Green Bay. And I get it. Green Bay's 9-3-1. A lot of people picking them to come out of the NFC. Some people making declarations that Jordan Love's the top 5 QB in the league. He could be. I'm not sure. I mean, I watched him play that Thanksgiving game against Detroit, and he was awesome. He looked like a top 5 QB that day. For me, Love's just too inconsistent for me to officially put him in my top 5. I think he's a top 10 guy right now. And also, I want to hit on this and curious your thoughts. The Packers are scary because they have so many receivers. Anyone who plays football or fantasy football knows that. You've got your Christian Watson and your Romeo Doubs and your Dontavian Wicks and who's the rookie Golden from Texas. They lost Tucker Kraft to IR, but they've put a couple of new tight ends in there. And then Josh Jacobs, a career Broncos killer when he was with the Raiders, is their running back. Love has a ton of weapons, but I think normally when we go into these games, Dante, we say, oh, well, they're going up against A.J. Brown. Great. PS2 will guard him. He'll take him out of the game. Oh, they're going up against C.D. Lamb. Pat Surtain, it's all you. I actually think this is one of the rare times where, Surtain's obviously a massive asset, but there's not one Packers receiver that is clear-cut their top dog. I would guess it's Christian Watson. He's battled some injuries, but that scares me from the sense that this Broncos secondary is going to be mega tested on Sunday against Love and the Packers offense.
Yeah, and you nailed it. There is no one specific weapon that you're worried about when it comes to the Packers. And that's what makes this offense of theirs so dangerous, is that they can kind of get you however they want. They have a strong run game. They use their tight ends well. Matt LaFleur comes from that Shanahan offense where he's going to be creative. He's going to throw some weird formations, or maybe it's the same formation over and over and over, but, completely different plays and completely different routes over, out of it. So, and then you mentioned the long list of wide receivers that can hurt you as well. So they have a plethora of weapons for Jordan Love, and you never quite know who's going to be the breakout star in any specific game. So that does make it a little scary when you have the best cornerback in the NFL and you're not exactly sure what his role is going to be in this defense on Sunday. Going back to your thing about the Packers being favorites, doesn't surprise me too much. I think it's going to be a very close game as it is, but Packers are slightly better in the odds in terms of winning the Super Bowl this year. And I'm curious what your take is. Do you think if the Packers play their best game, the Broncos play their best game, each team's at their best, do you think the Packers are the better team? Because I actually tend to lean that way.
Not in Denver. I think a neutral site, I'd probably agree with you. Like if it was a Super Bowl in Santa Clara, I'd probably pick Green Bay. But I just think that home field advantage right now for the Broncos is cooking so hard. Haven't lost it in Power Field at Mile High in 14 months. I watched with my own eyes that joint practice, and I understand it was last year, not this year. Rosters changed, but the key pieces for Green Bay are still in Green Bay, other than Micah Parsons, and the key pieces for the Broncos are still in Denver, and Denver dominated them that day over at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. I get it. It's one joint practice. But I didn't walk away particularly impressed with Jordan Love, and then if I remember correctly, that was also the second or third preseason game where some starters played, and the Broncos dominated that game as well. Green Bay has one win here in their entire existence. It was a very famous one. It was Brett Favre down the sideline in overtime in 2007. I want to say he hit Greg Jennings. Text line helped me out, but it was a bomb. It was one of those, you know, Brett Favre crazy touchdown YouTube. It's going to be one of the very first results. And I believe, if I have this correctly, the Rockies lost Game 4 of the World Series on that Sunday to the Red Sox. October ended. We were swept. We were sad. We were disappointed. And it's like, well, at least we get to watch our Broncos on Monday Night Football. And I'll give you a way back throwback name on who got burned, Dante. It was Dre Bly, who had a lot of success with the Detroit Lions as a corner. He was here in Denver, and Brett Favre, 13-13 game, walked it off. Packers win 19-13. It's actually Favre's going crazy in the middle of the field, and if you ever YouTube a Brett Favre highlight reel, it's him sprinting down the field. That was here in Denver. But that's Green Bay's only win in the Mile High City in their entire existence. We all know what happened in 2015 when the Broncos defense held a prime Aaron Rodgers, and I mean prime Aaron Rodgers, to something like 79 yards passing, and Denver won that game to remain undefeated. Green Bay only comes here once every 8 years, so I get it. None of the players who played here then play here now, but just organizationally, they've never had a lot of success out here. Long-winded way of saying, to answer your question, it being in Denver, I would make it more of a pick-em than a 2.5-point favorite for the Packers. If this was a Super Bowl line, I think it would be about right. But I don't think the wise guys in Vegas are quite factoring in just how special this Broncos home winning streak is right now.
No, and that's right. I actually kind of didn't factor in the home field aspect of it as well. And, you know, Sean Payton and Bo Nix both touched on it. And we've seen how big of a home field advantage the Broncos have had this year. Obviously undefeated at home, but you know, you can hear it. It goes through the TV. And when you're watching these games, when you're watching the Broncos and Chiefs game, you could hear the crowd. You could see how difficult it was for Patrick Mahomes, who's a veteran quarterback, and Andy Reid, who's a veteran head coach, for them to be able to get a play call in, get it in on time, and be able to make adjustments at the line. And that's, like I said, a very experienced team there. So, I mean, Jordan Love's certainly not young, but he's not the most tenured guy as far as quarterbacks go. So you could see that being an issue for them. But yeah, you are right. The home field factor, I think, would lean towards the Broncos, maybe just slightly enough compared to a neutral site.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because Sean Payton talked about that today. He was asked by our 9 News 104.3 The Fan Broncos insider Mike Kliss about the Broncos being home dogs and is it, disrespectful, whatever. And Sean does answer that portion of the question, but I really want folks to hear Sean kind of launch into a different angle, and that is what you're talking about, the crowd noise and what he expects from Broncos country this weekend.
I don't really pay attention to that until, look, we know we're playing a good football team. That's something that we have no control over. We've got 4 tough opponents the next 4 weeks. 3 of the 4 of them are at home. We're counting on our crowd this week, not just at the line of scrimmage, but while they're in the huddle. I go back to a few weeks ago, that communication that exists from the opponent when they're in the huddle, you'd be surprised when some teams' stadiums have it figured out, the quarterback to the group in the huddle, if it all gets blurry, you have problems. And I thought our last home game with Kansas City was significant, and I'm counting on it being even at a higher level. So, yeah, we're playing a good team.
Love that answer from Sean Payton there because, he talks about it is a good team, can't control that, don't pay a lot of attention to it, doesn't I wouldn't call it bait from Mike. I think it's an inbounds fair games question. You want the coach and the quarterback, and we'll get to Bo commenting on that. But I definitely thought it was interesting. He's telling the crowd, and Broncos country, I thought Zach said it well, they don't need to be educated. They're the best fans in the league. But he is just sort of sending out that reminder, if you will, that, hey, it's great when the play clock's at 4 and the stadium's shaking and they can't get the snap off, but guys, do it when the play clock's at 20. Because if his receivers can't hear him, if his running backs can't hear him, and Phil talked about that, you're kind of try to read lips at that point. That sort of noise is going to make a difference, and it's the kind of noise that helped you beat Tom Brady twice here in 2 AFC title games in 2013 and 2015. I love it from Sean, and I think Broncos country will certainly be up for the challenge.
Yeah, I liked it from Sean, too. He's coaching up the crowd, kind of like how Peyton Manning used to do. There's those stories about when he got to Indy and making sure they're, dead silent when he's on offense and in the huddle, so he's able to operate to the, maximum capability that he is, and he was such a brainiac that I think that really gave him an advantage over some of these other teams when they were in Indianapolis. So I like it from Sean, coaching up the fans a little bit. We do have a text here that's a good point I didn't actually consider either, from the 1595. How much of the crowd do you expect to be Packers fans? Do you think this might be a little bit less of a home field advantage than what we've seen throughout the season for the Broncos?
Yeah, it's a fair question from the texter because the cheeseheads always travel. And every time they're on the road, you see those stupid cheeseheads and you see a lot of yellow and green. Sorry, I like cheese. I'm just, you're a growing adult. I don't know why you have to put a piece of cheese on your head. But I would say in a down year, it would worry me, Dante, because if the Broncos were out of it, this is the type of game people sell their tickets for, right? Because they go, I can make a fortune. I can pay for my whole season if I have one good sale in this game. But they're 11-2. Unless you sold your tickets in July, you're not selling them now. You're going to this football game. The 1 seed is on the line. So I think it's a totally imbalanced, fair question from the texter, but I'm going to say 90% Broncos fans, 95% Broncos fans. I don't see a way that Packers fans are getting into the building in droves on Sunday. How about you?
I think 90, 95 seems a bit high. I'd go maybe closer to like 80%, okay. 75, 80%. That feels about right. To me, it'll probably be the biggest dent of opposing fans since maybe the Cowboys game, maybe the Giants game. I know those have some traveling fan bases or just fan bases that are, structured in different cities as it is. So maybe they're not even, maybe it's just Packers fans that live in Denver, that kind of thing as well. But I certainly think it'll be more noticeable than what we've seen in previous games.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, certainly it won't be anything like what we saw in Vegas. Some of those wide angles of the Marvin Mims touchdown are awesome because the whole crowd is just orange and it's erupting. Broncos country took over Allegiant Stadium. But yeah, I don't know, an 11-2 team. Again, no one's selling their tickets this week. Unless you're just in a pickle and you need cash. And that's a different conversation for a different day. Is it ethical to sell your tickets if you need whatever? I'm not going to preach on that, but I think when people are, looking at 5 and 6 football teams, 4 and 7 football teams like we've largely had over the last decade, it's tempting to go make a quick buck. And I don't hold that against anyone. If the product's not worth going, then sell your tickets, make money. But I would be surprised if many Broncos fans are moving their tickets this week. A couple texters have chimed in and said it was Greg Jennings. I saw a few, the 9260s right in front of me right now, so thank you. First play of OT, Brett Favre to Greg Jennings, 2007, the day after the Rockies got swept in the World Series. Just more salt in the wound for the Broncos. But the Packers have not historically been good here at all. So what did Bo Nix have to say about being underdogs this week?
I don't really care. My mom thinks we'll win, so that's all that matters.
My mom thinks we'll win. That's all that matters. I talked a little bit about it with Phil and Zach, but I think it's a perfect answer from Bo. It's a good little zinger. He dodges the question, doesn't provide any bulletin board material. My mom thinks we'll win. Good way for the QB handling it. And I know some people have called Bo boring Nix. I don't think so. I watch every single one of his press conferences. I write about every single one at DenverSports.com, whether it's after a game or during the week or whatever. I think Bo has some sneaky, dry humor to him. I think he's kind of witty, quirky, funny. But you could also make a case that's the best answer he's ever given since he's been the Broncos QB in terms of, again, a zinger, if you will. Good way for Bo Nix to handle the underdog question. Don't need any of that getting back to Green Bay.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't even think about the bulletin board aspect of it, but I think that's really smart, is to not give the Packers any extra motivation in this game. They obviously already need this game for playoff seeding to win that division that is razor thin in the NFC North. They just took over the division lead last week with the win over the Bears, so they are, in a similar space as the Broncos in terms of how important this game is to their team. So I like the answer. Showed off a little personality too, and you're right. He does have a couple quick, little quips there from time to time where shows off his comedy ability, I guess.
Well, remember the famous one in his rookie year, he got asked by someone in town that people will know, walk us through what happened on the interception. And Bo, and I'm paraphrasing, but Bo said, yeah, I dropped back and I threw the ball to the other team. It's like, little things like that. It reminds me, remember when Baylor played Yale in the NCAA tournament and the reporter asked, was it Torian Prince maybe? It was some Baylor big man. How does Yale out-rebound Baylor? And he goes, if the ball hits the rim and you go up and grab it, that's a rebound, and Yale got more than Baylor today. And it was just, stuff like that it kind of cracks me up. Reporters should ask better questions than that. Walk me through the interceptions, not a great question. So Bo said, yeah, I dropped back and I threw it to the other team. But he does have a little bit of saltiness in him at times. His intro press conference, I still remember it. He got asked, a lot of people say you can't throw the deep ball. You're just a check down Charlie. And he flat out said, go watch the tape. I threw the deep ball plenty at Oregon. I'm confident throwing the deep ball. And he certainly proved in his rookie year that he could do it. And he's had flashes of it here in his sophomore year as well. Bo also got asked today about big game, right? Big game. You saw the map, or some people saw the map today. This thing's on CBS all over the nation on Sunday afternoon. Our guy Cello, who was here last night, is going to New York this weekend. He'll have no problem watching it. We were talking about that during a break last night but it's Jim Nantz, it's Tony Romo, it's Tracy Wolfson. CBS is also carrying that Colts and Seahawks game, but they are only really in Indy and in Seattle showing that game. They're also showing it in Houston and Jacksonville, which I found curious, but makes sense. Jaguars and Texans fans are going to want to watch that one. 90% of the country is getting this game. This is a huge game. It's a big game. People are going to be locked in on this Sunday afternoon. Atmosphere should be electric, and Bo Nix was asked about that today.
Love it. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. I think our fans are going to be extremely motivated and, very hostile. Probably going to be similar to the Chiefs game a few weeks ago. This will be what seems to be a playoff game. So this will be an intense game on the field. It'll be an intense environment. Anytime you play a home game like this, you would love the environment to be, what they say, as loud as anybody's ever heard. And, I feel good after what happened, our last home game. So we're going to be ready to go on our side. And I know they're going to come in with a really good plan. I know it's going to be a really good football game. And, it's pretty much going to be like playoff football. And that's what you get to December and, the end of the season. That's what you're playing for. And we're extremely excited about it. Happy to be in this position this year.
I mean, he said twice in that answer it's going to be like a playoff game. I tend to agree. Wouldn't shock anyone if these two teams meet again in Super Bowl 60 here in 2 months in Santa Clara. Let's just start there. Do you think, and I understand the odds say no because both teams winning their conferences, yes, if you think that's going to happen, there are ways you could profit off of it. I understand the odds say no. But do you think, Dante, is it realistic of a Super Bowl preview as any matchup that's left in the NFL this season?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Packers play, just as well as anybody else. Maybe them and the Rams, I think, are the two favorites coming out of the NFC. And the Broncos, obviously, are the number one seed in the AFC here. So I think there's a good chance they make it out, too, especially if they can secure that one seed throughout the playoffs, host these playoff games in Denver. That'll only help their chances of getting there. But to me, these are two of the top, let's call it 5 teams in the NFL, and I think that's pretty, standard across the country. I think a lot of people would agree with that sentence. So I expect this to be a high-quality football game, and to me, probably the best team the Broncos have played all year, even ahead of Philly, even ahead of, the Cowboys are kind of surging here, ahead of Kansas City, ahead of Houston. I think the Packers top that list as far as opponents. Do you feel similar there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the only other one that you didn't mention that I'd throw in would be the Chargers, just because of Jim Harbaugh's style and their ability to grind out games. The Texans, I think some people may put in that conversation as well, just because they're playing better football of late. But you're right. For my money, this is the toughest Broncos game of the season. Now, that comes with the benefit of hindsight, because at the time, Philly was playing pretty good football, and you had to go to their house and this and that. They've obviously fallen off. Their offense is an absolute mess. Jalen Hurts was terrible in L.A. the other night. But, yeah, at this very moment in time, it probably is the Broncos' toughest opponent. And, I mean, how much fun would it be if this is a Super Bowl preview? First of all, it means the Broncos are going to the Super Bowl, so, go dance through the streets. Second of all, they won their first ever Super Bowl over the Packers in 32 out there in California. And third, this defense, if you can shut down Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs and all those receivers I ran through, then yeah, you're legit, man. And I always think about the Super Bowl 50 defense shutting down Big Ben in his prime, Tom Brady in his prime, and Cam Newton in his prime in back-to-back-to-back weeks to win Super Bowl 50. So I don't know. Is measuring stick an appropriate term? Like, is this a measuring stick for the Broncos defense on Sunday, given what a guy like Marcus Mariota did to them just 10 days ago?
I don't think it's the measuring stick game in terms of, I'm going to throw out all of the great games they've had this year. I think that's too far. But I mean, it certainly is weighted more. In college when you got your tests are accounted for 80% of your grade or whatever, and then your homework's 20%. I would equate that to this, where to me, this is the big grade. This is the one that matters. If you can go out there and be a top defense against this kind of offense, against this kind of team, and I'm going to throw Matt LaFleur in there against this kind of coach. I think he's a top 10 coach, let's call it. Offensive minded as well, and a team that's playing pretty good football here. They just had a huge win over the Bears to overtake the NFC North there. So I think they're playing good football. I think they're a very good team, and I think Micah Parsons is easily one of the best defenders in the league too. So outside of just the defensive side for the Broncos, I think it's the most important game they're going to play all year, not just because it's the best opponent, but just because it's their ability to go out and show that they belong in the conversation of a top 5 team or, the one seed in the AFC or, like I said, a top 5 odds team to go and win the Super Bowl. Yeah, no, it definitely could be their most important. I'm still a little nervous that Week 18 could be for the AFC West, so obviously that would trump it. But at this moment in time, yeah, I mean, it's huge. It's a massive game, given that the Patriots play the Bills as well. Because if the Patriots lose and you beat the Packers, you're thinking, oh my gosh, we are this close to the 1 seed. Whereas if you lose and the Patriots beat the Bills, then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, gosh, we got to hang on for dear life in the AFC West, try to get the 2 seed. Like, it is a swing type weekend, and we do get Patriots and Bills at 11, so we'll know the outcome of that game before Broncos and Packers at 2:25. All right, there was news about both Marvin Mims Jr. and Ben Powers today, both positive, and Dante and I'll hit each one next.
Join Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan and Blue Sports Stable in Superior for our Denver Sports Equipment Drive, benefiting Recruiting Classroom. We're taking donations of new or gently used sports equipment through December 20th. Head to denversports.com/equipment for a list of drop-off locations and most needed items. And help us spread some cheer this holiday season.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Join Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan and Sun Cruiser at Mile High Station on Sunday, December 14th from 12 to 2:25 p.m. for the Fan Football pregame show. Get in the game with orange and blue face painting and Sun Cruiser. Let the good times cruise all football season long.
It's time to pack the CU Event Center for Colorado basketball. There's an alley-oop tonight. The Buffs are back, and single game and group tickets are on sale now. Come cheer on your Buffaloes as they take on Big 12 powerhouses like Arizona, Kansas, Texas Tech, and more. Groups of 10 or more can take part in exciting game day experiences. Grab your tickets today at cubuffs.com/tickets or call the CU Athletics ticket office at 303-492-8282.
The truck driver wasn't paying attention and crashed straight into you. Now you're paying the price. You're looking at surgeries, missed work, and more. Call the truck crash lawyers at Berg Simpson Law Firm. Berg Simpson has been helping truck crash victims for 50 years. And with over $50 million recovered after truck crashes, our results speak for themselves. Call our team today and let us fight for every dollar you deserve.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Hey Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. You know, in the game of life, our most valuable asset is our health.
At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
Get a double dose of Denver men's basketball this week with games Thursday, December 11th at 7 p.m. versus Alaska Anchorage and Saturday, December 13th at 2 p.m. versus Cal State Fullerton.
Game goes along as Josh Lee floating into the lane, bucket good in the foul.
Join us Thursday and Saturday in Hamilton Gym. Let's go DU.
Welcome to Blue Sports Stable, Colorado's premier multi-sport destination. Their massive facility features ice rinks, indoor turf, basketball courts, golf simulators, fitness center, and restaurant, all under one roof. Perfect for families and groups with themed public skates, ice bumper cars, learn to play programs, birthday parties, corporate events, and team building activities. Open to everyone. Come play, skate, celebrate, and connect. Visit BlueSportsStable.com and follow @BlueSportsStable on Instagram. Blue Sports Stable, something for everyone.
Food for the workplace. It's a beautiful thing. It brings teams together, keeps them happy and productive. It's a great way to woo clients or celebrate wins. But if you're the one ordering all that food, it can be a lot. That's why there's Easy Cater, the easiest and most rewarding way to order food for work, with a huge variety of restaurants for any group size, plus tools to meet dietary needs and stay on budget. And with Easy Cater, you earn rewards points when you order, good for order discounts or even gift cards. For you. Go on, you've earned it. Order now at EasyCater.com.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at BofA.com/cardFWC26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Bonnie from O'Meara Ford has convinced me they really want to earn your business. So, talk to me, Bonnie.
Well, O'Meara has over 1,000 vehicles to choose from. Plus, we have the largest service center in the region with 84 service bays. And we've sold 1 million vehicles since 1913. Our friendly staff will treat you right. And when it comes to repairs, our knowledgeable technicians do it right the first time.
There it is. O'Meara saves you time and money, whether you buy new or used. O'MearaFord.com.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver's Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan.
This Sam Ehlinger story is now going national, by the way. Jordan Schultz, NFL Insider, also reporting it, that they had interest in signing Ehlinger. The Colts did, by they. But he had multiple opportunities to leave this year, decided he wanted to stay in Denver and develop with Sean Payton and Davis Webb. That is according to Jordan Schultz, adding a little more context on why Sam Ehlinger would not leave the Broncos as number 3 on the depth chart. Not going to see the field this year, but I get it. He's got a good thing going. He's in football rehab, and going to Indy and getting thrown to the Wolves. He's like, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, you can do that instead. All right, this text is good from the 8575. Of the last 4 games, list them in order of importance for wins. It's a great text because the problem is you can twist your brain into a pretzel trying to do this exercise. We don't know what's on the line. So if Arrowhead Christmas night is to eliminate the Chiefs, then I'm going to put that at 1. Because if you can be the team that officially gets the Chiefs X'd out of the playoffs, 0.0% chance to make the postseason, then that's the most important. You can kill the dynasty. The witch is dead because of you. You did it. You put the final arrow into them. That would be 1. But there's also a scenario where the Chiefs lose this weekend, a couple other things happen, and they're already out of it. You may get Gardner Minshew under the Christmas tree if you're the Broncos. Because Mahomes, We don't know the guy's temperament when he's losing. We know when he's winning, everything's great. He's been in every AFC title game since he's been the starter. What's his mindset if his season is over? Is he really going to go gut it out? Or is he going to say, my ankle hurts? Gardner, you got the Thursday night game. We don't know. We have nothing to draw from. We know the guy's a competitor, but it's easy to be a competitor when everything's going your way. So if it's to eliminate the Chiefs, I got to put them 1. But if they're already out of it, then that obviously goes to 4 because they have nothing to play for. And then the other caveat in all this is, of course, L.A. If you're 2 games up in the AFC West going into Week 18, hopefully that game doesn't matter. It may matter for the 1 seed, but it certainly won't matter for the division. But as I've outlined a couple times on the station, if you're only up 1 game, that is for the division title because they hold the head-to-head tiebreakers. If they beat you, same record, they'd be 2-0. They would be AFC West champions. Jacksonville's another one. If they win this weekend, they are going to have aspirations to be the number 1 seed with their 4 losses. And if they beat you, that's really like 2 games because then they'll hold the tiebreaker. If you somehow fall to 13-4, Jacksonville's 13-4, they would be the 1 seed as well. Kind of a long-winded way of saying this Packers game may be the least important of the 4 just because it's against an NFC team. Not saying we're not all locked in. Not saying we don't want to win. Not saying we don't want to be the 1 seed. Got to keep the foot on the gas. But I can't really answer your question because I don't know how the standings are going to play out. What do you think of that hypothetical from the texter?
No, I think you nailed it. Exactly. And it's also, to me, what are we deciding what's important? Is the 1 seed important, or are we talking about are you beating the best team on your remaining 4 games? Because if we're asking that question, I think it is the Packers. So I think you have to define what important means in that question, and then also I'm with you that I think time will tell on a lot of this stuff, on how important the games are or how meaningless these games could be at the end of the season, particularly the Chiefs and Chargers games in Week 17 and 18.
All right, there was some good news about both Marvin Mims and Ben Powers that I wanted to pass along today. The first, let's start with Mims. He was named AFC Special Teams Player of the Week for that 48-yard punt return against the Raiders. Second Bronco to win that award this year, Will Lutz, won it a handful of weeks ago for one of his game-winning field goals. I found this fascinating, Dante. It's his 3rd time winning the award in his career. Pretty darn good in only your 3rd year. He now only trails 2 Broncos for the history of that award in the organization. They are Matt Prater and Jason Elam, probably the 2 most famous kickers in Denver Broncos history, who both won the award for Special Teams Player of the Week 5 times. Pretty cool, and it just goes to show you that you make one big play, and it was a game-changing play. It was a 7-7 game. It put the Broncos up 14-7. He had no business returning that for a touchdown. He should have been tackled. He looked like a magician slipping out of that. Cool honor for Mims, but also begs the question, if this guy is this electric with the football in his hands, why is he not more involved on offense? So sort of a 2-parter there for you to react to the award, and also, do you need to get Mims more involved on offense?
Yeah, well, the first part, the award, great for him. I think, obviously, he adds a whole nother dimension of the Broncos to the Broncos if he's able to return kicks or punts the way he has been this year, and just, set yourself up. Obviously, the touchdown's great, but even if you're starting, field positions at the 50, I think that's a very underrated thing that he brings to this team as well on kickoffs and punts. So, great for him for winning it. I do think it gets a little tricky when you're saying, does he deserve to be in the offense more? I mean, we've seen this traditionally, in the NFL. Devin Hester, the best at punt return and kick returns, couldn't quite figure it out on offense as a wide receiver. So the skills aren't exactly transferable to each other. You have to be a little more creative when getting him the ball. You're not using him as just a straight up down in and down out wide receiver. So I get why Sean Payton hasn't used him as much as, some fans would like maybe. But I just think the skills are very different from, special teams to offense.
And I get that, and the point's well taken, because you're right. No one thinks of Devin Hester as an offensive threat. They just think of his incredible punt returns. I remember when he had 2 in one game against the Broncos with the Bears up there at Soldier Field. I mean, Devin Hester was a monster in the return game. Hell, he returned the opening kick in the Super Bowl for a touchdown, Bears and Colts, about 20 years ago as well. That said, we've seen it with Mims, right? We've seen it with our own 2 eyes. We saw it against Cleveland last year. We saw it twice in Cincinnati last year. Other examples of it throughout his still young career in the NFL. I don't understand how the guy can catch a 94-yard touchdown against the Bengals, catch the longest throw in football in air last year. I believe that was still true by the end of the season. Him in Cincinnati, where Knicks threw it like something 70 yards in the air. Kevin Harlan's call that is so good. Oh, he's got and Mims scored the touchdown. Then he scored on 4th and 1 on another deep ball there in the right corner of the end zone. My retort to you is that we've seen it, and for some reason it's disappeared once again.
Yeah, and you are right. We saw it in flashes there last year, especially that second half of the year for the last 6 weeks of the season. So it is in there, but I think it's just difficult for him to be that mismatch on, like I said, down in and down out. I think Troy Franklin adds more size, which we know Sean Payton likes his big receivers. Little Jordan Humphrey, shout out him getting a reception last weekend in that game.
I think he did too.
Did he have two?
I think he got a second. Yeah.
I remember the one on the crossing route there. So I think he likes his receivers to be a certain stature. I think he likes them to be 6'2" and above. And Troy Franklin does provide some speed as well. So I just think Franklin has more tools in the tool belt, so to say, than a Marvin Mims does. Not to say that there's not any role for Marvin Mims in this offense. I think there is room for him to have a role. I just wouldn't necessarily slot him ahead of a lot of the guys that are getting the production. It's funny. Marvin Mims, probably the fastest guy on the team. And then we have Adam Prentice making a huge impact on the game last week. So it just goes to show that, speed and stretching the field isn't everything necessarily to Sean Payton when he's calling plays.
Yeah, apparently not. Although Sean did say on his conference call, we got to find a way to get him more involved. So we'll see if it actually happens or not. That was on Monday. But there's another injury. Pat Bryant was a DNP today with his hamstring. So if he can't go, Franklin's role is going to increase back up. We've seen it sort of peter off the last few weeks. I think that's more of a blocking thing than anything else. And Franklin has had the dropsies this year. Probably not as pronounced as they were last year, but we've seen them at times. But the best news of the day was Ben Powers and the Broncos opening his 21-day window to return from IR. That means he will almost assuredly be back at some point this season. Do I expect him to play against Green Bay? Maybe, maybe not. But that's why you have 21 days to make these types of decisions. But that kind of came as a pleasant surprise today, if you will. Palczewski's been fine at left guard. I know Matt Pert got the first shot there. People weren't happy with him, and then he got the injury, which was unfortunate. Never rooting for anyone to get hurt, but I do think Palcho was ultimately the better player. That said, I'd like Powers back in there. You're paying him a lot of money, and Palcho can go back to being your 6th offensive lineman.
Yeah, I think having Powers for a playoff run, a Super Bowl run would be very important, but how nice is it that the Broncos have the luxury to not rush him back? It's not like they're like, hey, we need you to play this weekend. I don't know what we're going to do. We're on a 3-game slide because of, his missing time. So the Broncos have found ways to win games even without Ben Powers out there. So I think they can continue to do that and just have him reinserted into the lineup when he feels perfectly healthy and not, try to rush him back or anything like that. And maybe that can cause, a bigger issue as far as an injury goes for him. So, of course, I'd like to see him back, but, on his own timetable and when he's ready.
One more thing to report from injuries today. It's not Broncos, it's Packers. Something to watch. I'm just throwing it out there. Packers had one player who DNP'd today. They had a slew of limited guys, but one guy with the old did not practice, and that would be running back Josh Jacobs. Now, it's Wednesday. Okay, that's the big caveat here. It's Wednesday.
And it's December.
And it's December. A lot of veterans, December, good point. They get off days. But if he got that old DNP next to his name tomorrow, then I'm going to really start paying attention. For today, it's a footnote. Tomorrow, Friday, of course, when his game status comes out, we will be really monitoring it. All right, a few of you on the text line don't love my ranking of the Broncos' final 4 games. We'll get to that. Plus, something really, really weird happened in the Avalanche's shootout last night that we will touch on before we get out of here coming up next.
Has R.J. Harvey proven he's ready to carry the torch for J.K. Dobbins?
It was a big-time performance, man, and it gave me great hope that R.J. Harvey can be the answer to that question that we have had is who's going to replace Dobbins. I thought he took a huge step forward.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, boy Steve here today about my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if he can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house all cash and you can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Wow, Leslie, your fireplace really sucks.
I beg your pardon?
Well, what I mean is your fireplace is literally sucking all the air out of your house and right up the chimney every time you burn it.
Well, what can I do about it?
Well, you could get a high-efficiency gas insert from Cozy Heat. It keeps all the air you already paid the utility company to heat, and it returns up to 80% of the fire's heat back into your house.
I'd use my fireplace every chance I get if I could do that. Maybe my furnace wouldn't need to run so much.
Well, that's the whole point. Hi, this is Keith Lair with Lair Fireplace and Patio, along with my niece Leslie, to tell you how a gas insert from Cozy Heat will give you the incentive to use your fireplace again. Cozy Heat gas fireplaces and inserts are made to crank out the heat with beauty and style.
Lair's is Denver's oldest, most trusted name in fireplaces. Family owned and operated since 1954.
We'll even give you a free in-home quote, including expert installation by our own certified in-house installers.
Find us on the web at lairfireplacepatio.com.
For top quality Cozy Heat fireplaces and inserts, it's Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's fireplace experts.
Imagine almost every jewelry legend all under one roof.
Roberto Coin, Marco Biccigo, Ippolita, Paul Morelli, Mikimoto, Tacori, Hearts on Fire, and dozens more, all in one store.
Imagine a diamond bar with almost every size, shape, and price range GIA diamonds.
And a Swiss watch center with all the great marks, including Longines and the legendary Tudor. I'm Dylan.
I'm Shayna Williams, inviting you to Williams Jewelers of Inglewood.
We've built one of the largest jewelry stores in America with one vision.
To be the only jeweler you will ever need.
For that perfect diamond engagement ring.
The ultimate holiday gift.
Or just because you deserve it. Williams Jewelers of Inglewood at the corner of Broadway and Bellevue.
Now, imagine their face Christmas morning.
This holiday, come to Williams Jewelers,
where Colorado shines.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
The official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche. Williams Jewelers, where Colorado shines.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Hey guys, it's Mark Schlereth. I just made one of the best decisions of my life. I got rid of my glasses. I went to Cutarelli Vision and had refractive lens exchange, RLE. I wore glasses for distance vision, but I got to that inevitable point in life where I was always needing those reading glasses just to do about anything, and half the time I couldn't find them. Seeing menus, texting, reading my computer, or studying film, it was a struggle. But now I see the world perfectly, near and far, without any glasses, thanks to Cutarelli Vision RLE, the perfect permanent solution to spending your good active years not needing reading glasses. And here's the cherry on top. You'll never develop a cataract. Dr. Cutarelli is Colorado's most experienced with over 90,000 vision correction procedures. You can trust him to know if it's the right time for you and RLE. Schedule your free Zoom consultation at coloradorle.com. Cutarelli Vision, RLE, no readers, glasses, or contacts, or cataracts. coloradorle.com.
Stay up to date on the Broncos with our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss. Presented by Fitness Gallery. Hear the latest from every practice and every game every single week during football season. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, love the passion from the RamosLaw.com texters, 303-713-1043. 6261. Come on, Will. What's more important, the Broncos getting the 1 seed and needing only to win 2 games at home after a bye week to get to the Super Bowl, or be the team that said we killed the Chiefs for good? Give me a break. We all know the home field advantage is way more important. I get it. What the texter is saying, that, yeah, my focus is on the 1 seed. My stance on that has not changed. All gas, no brakes for the 1 seed. But at the same time, texter, my point is, if you have a chance to kill the Chiefs and you lose to the Chiefs, what does that mean? The Chiefs are still alive. That's the hypothetical here. So, yeah, that would be massive. Because you know what, 6261? What if Denver's the 2 seed? You have a chance to kill Kansas City. You don't, and they're the 7 seed. Does anyone feel good about the Chiefs coming to Empower Field at Mile High on Wild Card Weekend? No. No, they could go to the Super Bowl as a 7 seed. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, absolutely could. So the reason I said if it's Christmas night and the graphic says Chiefs are eliminated with a loss or even a tie, then I want the Broncos to kill the Chiefs, and that would be their most important game, the Final Four of the season. The 9632 says, I think winning the division is goal number 1. Start there. I agree. I think people are sleeping on the Chargers. I think that's a good tax. Again, they hold the tiebreaker, and Week 18 could very well be for the division crown. So, yeah, we all want the 1 seed, but let's just say this, Dante. Philly had a real chance to do you a huge favor on Monday Night Football, and they could not in a game that was very, very winnable, and Jalen Hurts just couldn't protect the football. That was frustrating for Broncos fans. We'd feel a lot different sitting here today if LA was 8-5 as opposed to 9-4 that they currently are.
Yeah, I would rank that Chiefs game number 1 right now. Or sorry, not Chiefs, the Chargers game number 1 right now. Just because that could be for the division when you get around to that, and we're 4 weeks out. So just at this point, I would assume that's going to be a very big game. Obviously, that can change by the time we get there. But yeah, the Eagles did the Broncos no favors in their 5 turnovers from Jalen Hurts. Had a real chance of winning there. And Justin Herbert's banged up. The Chargers in general are banged up. Obviously, losing both tackles before the season. One was
before the season, and Joe Alt was during the season.
Yeah. One before, one during. But either way, you're missing both your starting tackles. Justin Herbert has a broken left hand or wrist, is what the reports are there too. So he's obviously banged up. Amarin Hampton missed a bunch of time. Their other running back, his name is escaping me, tore his Achilles at one point during the season. So they're pretty banged up, and the Eagles not being able to land that finishing punch in that game was a little disappointing for Broncos country. But
wasn't it Najee Harris against the Broncos?
I think it was Najee Harris.
Yeah, he had the scary fireworks incident over the summer. He's back. It's his first time not in a Steelers uniform. People sort of slept on. He's always going for 1,000 yards in Pittsburgh, and then it was against the Broncos, and they showed that replay, and it was not fun to watch. You could see his Achilles pop. So yeah, you're right. The Chargers are a lot less healthy than Denver is right now, and their schedule is tough. We're just telling people, don't hang the banner just yet to be AFC West champions. I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that would be priority 1 for the Broncos. And I think Sean Payton said as much, not today or anything, but earlier in the year, he's been, there's 3 goals when we start a season. Goal number 1, win the division. Goal number 2, try to be the highest seed possible. Goal number 3, try to go win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So to win goal 1, or to, achieve goal 1, you got to hope that the Chargers maybe drop some here, or the Broncos, obviously they control their own destiny, still win out, but you'd like to give yourself a little bit of leeway so that Week 18 isn't as important.
I want to close on what happened to the Avalanche last night. Stayed up late to watch that. I know a lot of you did as well. 7:52 puck drop, 8:52 local time in Nashville. The Avalanche actually stayed the night in Nashville for a 3rd straight night, and I don't blame Jared Bednar and their management and coaching staff for making that decision. They would have been getting back into their own beds 4 or 5 in the morning. Just stay the night in Nashville, fly back today, no practice, home game tomorrow night against the Panthers. But if you stayed up late and watched it, you saw one really cool thing happen and one bizarre thing happen. The cool thing, Cale Makar tied the game with 8 seconds left, and he had not scored a power play goal in a long time, and it was a 6-on-4 situation. Anyone who even follows hockey, casually, you got to score on 2-man advantages, whether it be 5-on-3 or 6-on-4. The reason the Avs had a 6-on-4, Nashville commits a silly penalty, trips Cale Makar, and then the Avalanche pull Mackenzie Blackwood. So to tie the game, get a point, that was great. Nashville stinks. That's how we closed the show last night. But they played hard. They do have a lot of veterans on that team with experience, Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, and entertaining game. Great to get it tied 3-3 and earn a point and only have 2 losses in regulation. What bizarre thing happened, Scott Wedgwood gets run into by Philip Forsberg in the shootout, gets his head hit, and also may have hit his head on the ice. It was a scary collision. They let him face the next Nashville shooter, and then the game gets paused, and he gets yanked for concussion protocol. I'll just say, man, the NHL can't get out of their own way. If you're going to have spotters, you got to pull the guy when it happens. You can't let him face another shooter. I think Jared Bednar and Nathan McKinnon's reaction on the bench said it all. They were straight up laughing at the referee, like, really? You kidding me? Super odd. Gabe Landeskog couldn't score, so Mackenzie Blackwood never had to face a shot. They lost in the shootout. But 2 things that happened late that were interesting last night, Dante, in terms of the Makar goal heroics and then Wedgwood getting pulled but also still facing another shooter. The NHL made a mess of it.
Yeah, that's a little funky, but good for Makar getting on the board late there. And you're right, the Avalanche have struggled in general on power plays, so them being able to get one there, even if it was in the final seconds of the game, stole a point for the Avalanche. They easily could have lost that game, probably should have lost that game based on how the ending went. So able to get 1 point at least is better than 0 points. And then the Wedgwood thing, hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's okay going forward. Little scary sight, but and he's been great this year. Up there for the Vezina Award and everything. So this Avalanche team needs him out there because, I don't know, I'm not as confident in Blackwood.
Well, and every point counts with the Stars right on their heels, so they did steal one last night. For Dante, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Did Sean Payton put together the perfect recipe against the Raiders?
They did a great job. Very impressive from this offense, from Bo Nix. Staying patient. If you're going to try to do something special this year, this is the offense that you want to watch right here.